No, that's my cat. I don't know what. I'm almost ready. What is that? A cat? Nobody said there was a cat in here.
And Nudnik, a real bum.
The bat clowns freak him out.
This is the theme song of the podcast of the movie of the uncle of the
Niece. Niece. It's his niece.
We watch the movie by the minute and we talk about what's in it, but we want it to be different, so we added 2 more seconds. It's UHF 62.
60 second. UHF 60 second.
I know. Welcome back to UHF 62nd, where we analyze the 1980. Wait, this is 89, right? Not 90? Yes, 89.
Oh, the year is 2018.
Yes.
Are you talking about? Okay.
The movie. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 89.
Starting over.
Yep.
Welcome back to UHF 62nd, where we analyze the 1989
Let's do it together.
Welcome back to
welcome back to the UHF
62nd. Okay. Welcome to UHF 62nd, where we analyze the 1989 movie UHF 1 minute at a time. This is minute 13. I am Jonathan Carlisle, one of the hosts.
I am David Johnson, one of the other hosts. Today, both of us hosts are joined by somebody who needs no introduction at all.
Hello, baby.
Thanks for coming on, Tom.
Yeah, I kind of busy, and we had to fit this in real early in the morning, but I'm glad to be on the cast. Big fan of the cast in general, and glad to make time to join you boys.
Right on. Minute 13 begins with Uncle Harvey telling Esther that he won a station with a pair of sevens, and ends with the Nash Metropolitan pulling up to the station that was just won in a card game. So,
Great.
Bluffing with a pair of sevens.
Classic card move.
So when we saw him and he was winning and he was just like raking it in, and he's like, ha 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 ha. Do you think he was excited to win this, or it was just part of the pile? And he's just like, oh, what's this? Oh.
Yeah, that's interesting. What do you think the weirdest thing is that he's won? First of all, do you think he often wins? Like, is this regular for him? Oh, I guess he says, like, business was good, so maybe he doesn't normally win that much. Doesn't he say that?
I just like when he, imagining the times when it's not good, and she's like, how's business? And he's just like,
None of my horses came in.
What is he playing, poker?
So, we're reasonably sure they're playing poker. However, I have no idea what bluffing with a pair of sevens means. I mean, I'm guessing that it means he had 2 sevens, and he was saying that he had something that was a better hand than 2 sevens. I guess that's like what the words mean, but I...
So is this something that you think that it's been passed around? Like, he makes a comment about how they can't even find anyone to manage the place. He seems to know about it. So I'm just wondering, is this like a deed that they often put in the pile?
Like every week on poker night, somebody comes without any actual cash, so they have to bet the station. That could be. Yeah, because he does. Yeah, he's like, it's been on the edge of bankruptcy for years. So yeah, he does seem to know the history of it.
Or did he
weird.
just learn that history and is acting like he's somebody who knew that history?
Yeah, it could have been like a thing like in Solo, a Star Wars story, where Lando like bets the Millennium Falcon, and then it comes out later that it's like impounded, you know. So this guy could have been like, I have a TV station, and then after he won the hand, he's like, yeah, that TV station's not really
It's just a little station on the edge of town. It's been on bankruptcy for years.
years.
Yeah, don't you know UHF 62 and how it's been bankrupt for years?
Don't you know? He makes this comment that more people watch the fish tank at Leo's Pet Store. So I went to see if there was a Leo's Pet Store, but I did not find any. But I did find a website that gave us the top 10 pet stores of Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is a little bit weird. I mean, I don't know, like, are there actual top 10 websites for other cities or top 10 pet stores websites of other cities.
That seems like a really mundane thing. Like, I wonder what the person that compiles top 10 pet store sites is like. I mean, I'm sure they're a nice person if they're listening, but I don't know.
Not to offend any top 10 compilers.
Yeah.
I'm
We
sure
love
it's a
you.
cat lady of some type. Where I live, we've had 2 cats show up to our house, and I guess that's true. If I was a cat lady, I would have just accepted them in, which one of them I almost did, actually. But
Tom, if you get a third cat show up, I think you may want to take a look at yourself and consider that you may actually be a cat lady.
They say
how does
that the percentage of cat ladies is 1 out of 3, and if you don't know any other cat ladies in a group of 3, you are the cat lady.
that's right. If in your group of friends you don't know who is the cat lady, it's you. I've heard that before.
Yeah, that's an old adage, yeah.
Going back to a pet store. So I'm kind of surprised actually that there's not a different name for pet stores.
Like as a group?
Yeah, to me, like pet store sounds so archaic. I guess there's got to be some fancier name for it. Because pets are not just pets; they're not just animals.
Oh, I thought you were saying more like how you don't call it like a food store, a grocery store, or like a sandwich store or a deli.
Right, they're sandwich shoppies.
Yeah.
Right, but you're talking more along the lines of just the word pet.
Oh, I don't know. I just there's pet owners that are some that are pretentious and some that aren't, I guess. But
So, okay, try this on then. How does a non-human family member store sound?
sounds a little confusing at the beginning, but
Yeah. But that's what you're getting at, sort of, right?
yeah. Well, also because some of these stores aren't just stores; they also are, a collection of services and vet services and hair trimming, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So real quick, I just want to run through these. So give a little shout out to these pet stores in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We got number 1.
Wait, you're starting with number 1?
Yeah, because it gets worse from there.
Oh, all right.
So if someone said Southern agriculture, would you immediately think pet store?
I would think like
Yeah.
hay or seeds or something.
Right. They look like an all-in-one thing. They offer vet services or connection to vet services anyway. Number 2, the dog dish.
Gross.
Gross. Yeah, that is actually kind of gross. Number 3, and this is where it goes downhill real fast, is PetSmart. I'm not saying PetSmart is bad. When I think of a pet store, I'm thinking of like that little shop on the corner where that has all the little tanks. Way too
Where everybody goes to watch the fishes.
Right. But
Yeah, like Floyd's Fish Market. Is that what he calls it? Oh, Leo's Pet Store. Floyd's Fish Market. Where did I get that?
Yeah, what? Who?
I don't know.
Number 4, Red Dog Hound and Tack Supply.
Red Dog. Isn't that a beer?
It could be
Red
because I looked them up a little bit, and it seems that on their logos, it seems like Red Dog is kind of like the name brand, and then it's the Red Dog version of Hound and Tack Supply. So maybe they've diversified and they've gone into breweries and pets.
Not your granddaddy's hound attack supply, huh? My old friend Chris, his dad was famous for drinking a Red Dog beer, and I always associated it with kind of blue collar kind of hillbillies.
Like Southern
on.
agriculture.
You guys remember Red Dog beer?
I do not.
I
used to
don't know.
collect bottle caps as a kid, and I had a few Red Dog bottle caps.
But no Hound and Tack bottle caps?
None of those, strangely enough.
Number 7, Street Cats Incorporated.
Street cats.
So this
That's-
looks more like your cat lady establishment. Which, I mean, that's not bad because they take in stray cats and nurse them back to
Well,
livability.
Street Cat. Now I feel bad I was going to make fun of it. Now, now that you say that, I'm like, But the Street Cats Incorporated to me, it sounds like, when Oliver and Company came out, there was like a straight to video knockoff to try and get people, like Street Cats Incorporated.
Like it's like the big blockbuster was Streetcars Incorporated, and then your grandma went to the video store and said, "Oh, Street Cats,
Came back.
he loves that."
Grandma, you messed up.
That's all I got.
So
There's no more list.
okay. Well, my
Hey, man, cool list.
yeah, nice.
Oh, actually, yeah, it's still on the pet store thing. But I did look because we seem to have. There's a lot of connections to Pee-wee and Pee-wee's Playhouse or just the Pee-wee verse. So for some reason, it just like clicked in my head, like, oh, maybe the pet store in Pee-wee's Big Adventure is Leo's pet store, but it's not. It's literally just generic pet store. Wait, no, it's not literally generic pet store. It's just a generic pet store.
My question about this was if Leo's pet store was a competitor of Raoul's, who we have not met yet, but later on we're going to see Raoul in his show Raoul's Wild Kingdom. So I was wondering, what Raoul's take on Leo's pet store was, or if perhaps Leo's pet store is where Raoul is getting supplied all his animals for his show.
If Uncle Harvey is aware enough of Leo's pet store, I would imagine that it's the hit pet store in, what is this, Albuquerque? Or what's this? Oh, Tulsa. I'm sorry.
Tulsa in reality.
I
in
got
the
Weird
film,
Al
I don't
on
think
the
they
brain.
ever.
Albuquerque.
Yep.
Now we got to wait 10 minutes for that song to play.
Yeah.
So I really like the swipe sound effect as Uncle Harvey is, pulls the deed out of his sports coat pocket and is talking to Esther about it, and she grabs it. And there's that really great swipe sound effect that I really like a lot. And there's a couple moments in the film that have really awesome added sound effects that aren't necessary. And it's not like a big laugh. Like I don't laugh at it. It just, I get a stupid grin on my face and it's amusing to me. And there's a couple of sound effects that are like that in this movie. And so I like those little sound edits. And so I looked up on IMDb. I went to look up the sound editors to give them a shout out. And there are too many to shout out to individually. So good job, team.
Yeah, I like that sound too.
There's so many of them. I wonder what that's like when they're like, okay, we're going to put all these zany, crazy sounds in there like a morning zoo radio show. And they're like, no. Just one. You get one for this minute. Oh.
It would be interesting to know if Al, how much detail he was, if he was visiting, the editing, the sound editing and post, and was like, I'm like people call me Weird Al. I'd like some sound effects, that are kind of weird in there a couple times if you want to throw some in, or if people just kind of understood the tone he was going for and took it upon themselves. I don't know. It would be super curious to know kind of how some of these other aspects of the film that weren't he may not have been directly involved with, because everything feels so Weird Al about this movie, down to the little sound edits like that.
Yeah, I never even noticed that whoosh sound until I was reviewing it for this minute and I put headphones on. It's very funny, but I just never noticed it, and it almost makes it even more funny.
Those are actually the moments this is real talk now. Those are the moments in movies that I actually like that you don't notice, but they still inform your viewing experience. And then, and then when we analyze this by the minute, we're like, oh, that's why I feel that way when I hear or see that.
It's like a special little treat for the big time fans.
So what are they trying to inform us with that little?
That Esther is in control in that relationship, I think. I mean, am I wrong?
They don't really show much of Esther, but she seems more in control of reality than Harvey, who seems like a conniving
poker player.
I don't even know. Mongler? Some kind of mongler? I don't know. Trying that word out.
Okay.
At least contained in this minute, she's the one that makes the decision about George, and he's like, oh no, but then, hard cuts to, yep, that's what happened.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second here. She says she knows who would be perfect to run the station, and she nods with her head, mostly with her chin, I think, actually, and indicates George. Going back to what I've postulated earlier, that Terry is actually the niece of Esther and of Uncle Harvey. She doesn't say, I know who would be perfect to run the station, your nephew George, or your nephew. She just nods with her head. Well, his kind of uncomfortableness and almost verging on terror or panic. I guess maybe more panic at the idea of George running the station. I don't know. I have two nephews. Yeah, disgust. I have two nephews, and they might not always be the best suited for any random thing that comes along. But I don't know that I would ever react to my own nephews in that manner. So I think that George is I think that Terry is Harvey's niece. And I think Esther has taken a shine to George. I'm not really sure why, except for he's got imagination, which is why
he's charming.
Yeah, and that.
So is there a chance that she was actually nodding towards Terry, who's behind George, and then when she called, she's like, George, come over here, because he was in the way of her nodding. Move.
I love that. Yeah, she was trying to get George's attention so that he could turn around and get Terry's attention, because you don't want to like scream out in the middle of a party. So he comes over
like she does,
and she, well, yeah. So he comes over and she says, we have this UHF station, and the second half of the sentence was going to be that we'd like Terry to run, but he hears UHF station and he's like, oh, I'd love to do that. Oh, and then wait a minute, no, that doesn't work, because Harvey interprets Esther's head nod as George, unless he thinks Terry's a man, because he says no, not him. So yeah, maybe Harvey thought that Esther meant the dog.
Yeah.
Oh no, not him. He's got punch all over his belly.
Yeah.
Look at that punch too, by the way. How familiar are you guys with punch? Because looks like there's like lemon slices floating around in it. Is that typical for punch?
Yeah, you can put. Yeah, sure. Why not?
I've just never been around punches that much.
I'm pretty familiar with punch. I mean, I've ingested punch, so I would say that makes
I've had
us
Hawaiian punch. But there's
I've seen
lemon slices.
I've seen lemon slices in punch before. I feel like that's a regular
and then you
thing.
notice it's like a big kind of like alligator skin glass bowl. Like it's just got like a rippled texture to it. The bowl itself, the punch bowl, the titular punch bowl itself, is in a smaller bowl. I just don't know much about punch, so it interests me.
Well, I'm glad you're here. This podcast is all about punch. Or not. I actually don't like punch. I've been around punch a lot, and I've tried different punches. I find that's watered down isn't quite the right term, but I find that it's not. I've never had one that's really flavorful. It's always just like a mixture of flavors, and they're all just kind of like there.
Punch is I listen to a lot of Irish folk music, and there's a song I know called "Jug of Punch," and when I looked it up, punch is it's got like whiskey in it.
Whoa!
It's like an old Irish thing with punch. I don't know. I've just never been around punch that much, but it's come into my life in so many ways. Just not down my throat.
I hope that's the main way.
Well, I now that we've talked about spiking the punch or having alcohol in the punch, I hope that this punch...
Spiking the punch.
Yeah, I hope that this punch did have whiskey or whatnot in it, because I hope that dog got drunk on the punch and caused havoc later on in the evening.
Oh, well, since we are analyzing this by the minute, or by the 62 seconds anyway, that dog does not drink any of that punch. That dog is not even opening its mouth.
In the scene that we see, he's probably already had his fill.
But even when he gets tossed in, he doesn't look like he really wants to be there.
I just want to throw this word into the mix-up. Punch drunk is a funny thing to say about all that.
I'll one-up that. I'll add a third word, punch drunk love, which gets us to the wonderful Paul Thomas Anderson film. But just going back really quick to the bowl, I believe that you were talking about kind of the pedestal that the bowl is on, which kind of looks like a secondary bowl underneath of it.
Right. It's like a smaller version of itself.
Right. So my wife has like a serving kind of a thing that's somewhat similar to that, and the thing underneath has ice. Yep.
See, I always thought that was the goal of having like the sherbet in there, was that it also kept it cool because it's frozen when it goes in.
Yeah, that may also be. I don't know. I can't tell for sure, but I just know that there are serving accoutrements that have that kind of a thing.
This is kind of like a Russian nesting bowl. Just keeps getting maybe under the screen. There just keeps getting smaller and smaller bowls that are actually supported by the floor, not the table.
Yeah, the punch is not mixed. Like you have to like pour some out, ladle some out of each bowl to get the punch effect. It's all the ingredients are in separate bowls.
Make your own punch. So I almost think we actually started talking about this in the last episode, but yeah, this dog was supposed to be dancing on the table on its hind legs or something, and then jump into the punch bowl. and that was not happening. And so Weird Al just tossed him in.
Which I think is funnier, or more funny, I guess. I saw that too when I was looking up info on this minute, and I thought about that, and I don't get how that's funny, especially compared to the way that Weird Al just drops him in the bowl, which I think is the funniest way to end that interaction between him and the dog.
Gentlemen, I have to say that we are all in agreement.
We are?
I think, I think it is funnier that he just dumps the dog in the bowl, and I think it really kind of shows George's personality of like kind of being flighty and just he's like on to the next thing. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it's a very character moment versus... See, I think the idea of having a dog dancing on the table in the background or the foreground or however they were going to shoot it, I get through this movie that there's the different characters that we meet. There's kind of very similar to Pee-wee, I guess. There's kind of like a circusy, like, pardon the phrase, freak show kind of essence to the different characters and stuff. So I think like having a dog dancing on a table would just be like part of Weird Al's imagined world, like just silly, crazy things are just happening. But I like this better because it is more just like a character moment of like this just tells us more about who George is. And it's not the world that's crazy necessarily. It's just that George is a little bit crazy.
Yeah. Plus, how would that dog jump? I mean, I don't know. I can't picture that.
Dogs can jump, but that seems like a really awkward jump to go from your hind legs up and into a bowl that's that large.
Yeah. Stick the landing on top of it. Come on.
So, a UHF station, I don't think that I had here a note that we weren't really going to take the time to explain what UHF is, and that listeners can refer back to our teaser episode for an explanation, a very good and thorough explanation of what UHF is. So, yeah.
So you're just telling us what your note was?
Yeah. I guess so.
Okay. My note was not to talk about this thing.
Yep. Or my note was that I wanted to tell people why, if anybody is like, man, they didn't even talk about UHF. Well, we've already done that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
No more.
So hold your emails.
How do you hold an email? I guess you could print it out and hold it.
Yeah.
Save it as a draft.
Yeah. In fact, we should probably take down our email address. Now I just want people to write out emails and print them out and mail them in to us.
At our mailing address?
Well, listeners, print out your e-dresses and mail them to David and Jonathan at P.O. Box UHF 62nd, Madison, Wisconsin 49646. And Jonathan, are you invoking the gorgeous tones and musical stylings of John Duprez?
I sure am. He
Heck
was
yeah.
Also, I'm familiar with that name because I listened to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Minute, where John Duprez was I guess he did the whole soundtrack or the sound. I know someone told me that there's a difference between a soundtrack and a score.
Yes.
I don't want to mess that up, so I'm just not going to say which one it was because I don't remember.
He did the score. Weird Al did most of the soundtrack.
Right. Okay.
In fact, you can get UHF the album, by Weird Al. So that's the soundtrack. But yeah, John Duprez did the score. Yes. He also did the score for A Fish Called Wanda and several other Monty Python type things. So we know we're in good hands with John Duprez.
Right.
And I saw that he was a horn player in a band called Modern Romance, which was described as the genre of new wave salsa, which I'd never heard of that as a genre. But I am a new wave fan in general. So I did listen to Modern Romance, and it is definitely new wave salsa. I would say that's an accurate descriptor.
What would you call what we hear in this minute?
The score.
Okay, and what it's styling? Is it just a cappella? Is that's just an umbrella term? That
is it only a cappella?
I don't know that it is only voices.
I think there's like a little kind of a rim shot or drum, like a backbeat thing. I think
If I was listening to this while we were actually recording this, I might know, but I have to go from memory because I don't want to cause other sounds.
There's definitely finger snaps, but does that negate a cappella? Because that's still a bodily function, so to speak.
Yeah. Which actually, I guess we're joking about it, but Weird Al's not a stranger to bodily functions in his music with all the hand farts and stuff like that.
That's one thing about Weird Al that when I try to get my wife or somebody to be like, yeah, he's a genius, and I'll play a song, and then it's like, oh yeah, he's got a fart solo in the middle of it. And I'm like, it's funny, but I don't know. It just doesn't really stand the test of time.
What?
Fart jokes. I don't know. Like
people are always farting, just like they say, ABF, always be farting.
Never trust a fart. Someone once told me. But like Headlight News, which I think is a great parody song, but then it goes into that like fart solo a third of the way through it. It's like, oh, okay.
Now, was it an actual fart solo, or because I know that they do the hand farts, where you put your hands together and
yeah,
I don't know if I can get some on the mic here, but no, it's just air moving. My hands aren't slimy enough to get the fart going.
Wet enough, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice.
That's all I got.
Was that hand or was that armpit?
That was hand. That was all hand.
Nice.
I tried armpit, but it made no noise.
Is someone doing it?
Oh, I can't do it. I guess my deodorant's pretty good.
Wait, what?
These are conversations I never had to have as a 8-year-old. Like, oh man, my armpit fart won't work.
What's the deodorant?
Well, isn't that the thing? Isn't it? Like a slight amount of moisture on the skin, and so the air is able to escape the cavity that you're creating. Man, gross. Ugh.
That was a lot of words that I think some people just like toned up. When I was a kid, I also used to, because your knee pits are similar to your armpits, so you could put each hand, or like your left hand under your left knee and your right hand under your right knee, and lay on your back on the floor, and then just go wild, and you get all these like.
What the?
It's an audio podcast, so I can't show you.
Good.
Plus, my knee deodorant is a little too strong today.
Did you do like a I don't know how to phrase it, like a trade-off or syncopated, so it looked like you were riding a bicycle, so like one knee then the other knee,
Yeah, you just left right.
There should be a body fart workout video.
Oh my goodness, there should be. We should just make that a commercial until it happens. We just advertise it on our podcast until someone hears it and be like, oh, I guess it's a thing. I'm thinking of the body, kind of head to toe, and like what you can work out. And I know somebody, maybe everybody can do it, but I know somebody who they kind of raise their shoulder and they can kind of like cradle their head in their shoulder and then move their head forward and make a little fart noise with their neck.
What?
Yes.
A neck fart?
Yes.
You can sort of do like a ear fart, if you put your hand over your ear and...
Do you have to work out your ears, though?
Well, you want to be in good podcasting shape.
That's true. So if you hear anything in the background, that was just my ears.
How bad does an ear fart smell? Like, let's rate the smells of... So you got the knee fart, you got the classic fart, and the armpit fart.
Number one.
With a bullet. Or a... well, anyway. So, the Metropolitan Nash pulls up to the UHF station.
Yes, it does.
Headlights on and everything.
Hey, that's one thing.
A cool car.
We do see George driving around a bit. He seems to be at least responsible with that. The Nash isn't banged up or anything. We don't see much of it in this minute.
No, unfortunately. We don't see, really, overall, you don't see much of it in the movie, which is a shame.
That's true.
Yeah, it's weird they would go with such a odd car and not make a bigger joke out of it. I don't mind if they don't, but it's just like, it almost makes it even funnier that it's just like, oh, look, he drives this weird car.
That just speaks to the restraint that we've spoken of. How this movie is very restrained in its humor.
Which is a weird thing to say about Weird Al, that he has, this movie that Weird Al made is very restrained in its humor. But it kind of is in a way.
I'm actually surprised that they didn't go for the Stanley Spadowski in this tiny car moment. I don't think we ever see him sitting in it.
Oh, yeah. That would have been good.
Just because he's so tall. He'd have to have his head sticking out the top or something.
Or I would have liked to have seen him take his cameraman, who we'll see later on, for a ride in that, because that guy's a big guy.
Oh yes, I was thinking of the wrong.
Oh
cameraman.
no, yeah, there are two cameramen, and I'm talking about the other one.
Wait, which one? The sandwich eating one?
The sandwich eating one, yes. Yeah, so also in the commentary, Weird Al rattles off a ton of information about this location. What this transmitter tower in the background used to be. There's like a plethora of stations, apparently, because in reality, I guess this place was on the edge of bankruptcy for years. I'm not gonna. Does anybody feel like we need to go through all the iterations of this? What this tower
Should we do
has
that
been?
next minute?
Sure. Okay.
Save it.
Save it.
Yeah. If we're kind of wrapped up on this minute, then I would like to thank Tom for coming on.
You're very welcome.
I would like to thank, this is something that I've been meaning to do for a while and I keep forgetting, my apologies, but I would like to thank Dan Harris for designing our wonderful logo that's on all our social media. And I would like to encourage people to go to TeePublic and buy a t-shirt with that design from Dang Harris Designs. And you can find our TeePublic site by going to uhf62nd.com. And you can also join our group on Facebook called Town Talk, and you can tell us all the things that we forgot to mention, because you cannot send us an email at uhf62nd@gmail.com. You can actually do that, but we've told you to print them and hold them, so don't do that. Also, don't rate and review us on iTunes. Don't use iTunes. Yeah, I just decided that.
Not only do we not care about it, now we're just anti-iTunes.
Yeah, or if you do, I guess I would like to see some people try and outdo each other with the weirdest or the meanest review that you can. I'll accept that.
Of the podcast?
Yes. Or I guess if you want to review something else and
as our podcast review, they're just reviewing the toaster or something.
I was gonna say toaster. That's crazy.
Oh, are we both having a stroke?
Let me be your hog now. I said, baby, 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 baby.
Tune in next episode to find out if we have had strokes.